Hey everyone, before we start the video, we have a new official Discord. It's called the official SpooksHD Discord. It's probably on the screen right now. Click that and join it. It's going to be your #1 way to get in contact with me easily because I'm always on Discord. And it's going to be also your best way of getting help on tutorials and being able to support the channel by submitting different video ideas. So go ahead and join that, and I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the video, and I guess I'll see you guys later. How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another YouTube tutorial. So today we're going to be talking about a thing that you guys have been requesting a lot, which is map voting. And not like the screen GUI map voting. We're talking about physical map voting. You stand on a pad. If you're on that pad, then it counts as a vote. If you leave the pad, then it gets rid of the vote. We're talking about that type of map voting. So let's go ahead, try to hit, I don't know, 10 likes. I don't know, I'm just trying to be like the rest of the people, you know, trying to hit for those like counts, guys. Cool, right? That's cool. That's what cool YouTubers do, right? Anyways, so let's go ahead and get into this, right into this. As you can see, I already have some stuff in lighting, so that doesn't matter. Let's clean out the output, and let's go ahead and get started. So first we're going to go ahead and insert a folder named game. This is going to be used, I'm going to explain why we're using this, or doing this first. So we're going to have a thing called folder, and we're going to name this stats, and then we're going to create another one, and we're going to name this special. So if you guys don't know what the stats and special folder is going to be, special is going to be for things that are not going to be part of like a lobby or anything. It's going to be something that we're specifically looking for. Stats is going to be for updating the game. So we're just going to go ahead and insert a string value into here. We're just going to name this status. And we'll keep that blank for now. Then we're going to go insert another folder into special, and we're going to name these voting pads. Or name this voting pads. Now, we're going to need to create those pads. And let me go ahead and explain first. We're going to be making... Whoops, I think I just hit my mic. But, so we're going to be making these where you can have an infinite amount of pads, but you're going to have to have more maps than pads if you want this to work, or it's just going to, you know, hang on itself. So let's go ahead, create a part, and we're just going to anchor this and turn the can collide off for now. And let's make this 15 by a quarter by 15, and yeah, that seems right. And we'll just do a half, 0.5, and okay, that's a bit above right there, so let's just make this 0.25. Alright, look at that. That's perfect. Almost perfect. What do I have to do? What's the Y position? Oh, 0.125. That makes sense. So, because that's half of 0.25. Alright, perfect. Look at that. So, I'm going to go ahead and make this smooth plastic, because I'm kind of one of those guys who want everything to be smooth. So we're going to do smooth plastic, and we'll copy this, and quick tip, everyone, by the way, rotate these by 90, because when we insert the surface GUI, it's going to look a bit weird. So quick tip, if you want to have things have a margin of the size, it's just, it's the size. So if you did 15, it's going to go there. If you want it to be by the margin, be the size, and times it by 2, and you get 30. And then copy that and -30. Look at that. That's brilliant. And we're going to name this voting pad 1. And then we're going to do the following. So it's going to be voting pad 2 and then voting pad 3. Now, I'm just going to really quickly state something here. You guys might be saying, well, Spooks, I remember in that one video on Bezier curves that you went ahead and used values instead. Well, we're not using values because there's a really simple method to being able to get our... Actually, I don't know if we use values. I'm not really for sure. It's been quite a while since that video was released. But what I'm going to say here is we're using numbers in here because there's a simple method to grab the number from a string. So let's go ahead and continue. That's actually all we have to keep in there. Oh, you know what? I completely forgot about this. We need the surface GUI or the part GUI, whatever you'd like to call it. So we're just going to name this S GUI. So we'll do that. And just do 1920, 1080. And then we're going to go ahead and have this face on the top. And we're going to insert a text label here. And we're just going to make this 1, 0, and then 70. And that'll kind of, you know, do it there. You know what? Let's make this a bit bigger. Let's make this 140, double. Perfect. And text scaled. Perfect. So then what we're just going to do is, like, we'll just put placeholder text here. Or actually, let's not put anything, but let's put something there for now to be able to look at our results. So that looks good. So we'll do 0, 0, 0. That looks pretty good right there. So we're going to keep it like that. And then we're just going to do 0. And then we're just going to go ahead and put nothing here for now. And we're going to copy this to the other pads. And you'll guys see why we have this here. So that's basically about it. So we're going to go ahead and go into the replicated storage, actually. And we're going to go ahead and create a folder. And we're going to call these this assets. We're going to duplicate the folder twice and put it inside assets. One's going to be called signals. One's going to be called maps. And you guys will see why. So then we're inside the signals. You guys won't be able to see me inserting these, but just insert by right-clicking and press insert. Insert object. We're going to insert a remote event. And name it event. And then we're just going to insert a remote function. And we're going to name this F event. So that should be quite simple. We now have two signals in here. And we won't insert anything into the maps at the moment. So let's go ahead and insert, I don't know what I'm saying. Insert a script into server script service, and we'll name this server. By the way, I got a whole new color scheme. This is going to be the permanent color scheme for videos. This is also going to be the permanent text size. So comment down below what you think about this type of layout here. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to do assets, and that should have 2. And we're going to do local assets equals game dot replicate storage. Or actually, we're going to actually do one more thing here. Rep equals game dot replicated storage. Then we're going to do rep dot assets. And then down, and actually, you know what? That's about it. So then we're just going to go down here, maps, and then local maps equals assets dot maps. And then we're going to go down here and signals. Local signals equals assets dot signals, and then local event equals signals dot event. Local f event equals signals dot f event. Now, if you guys don't know what this is doing, it's basically saying, all right, one of the variables is equal to this. We're gonna say, okay, go here. Okay, when we want the assets variable, go here. Maps variable, go here. Signals variable, go here. And then remote event and F event, go here. So that's what it's basically saying. It's not that hard to kind of understand. So we're going to create our static variables. These are going to be used for the map votes and kind of that stuff. So we'll name this map votes just because of that. And then we'll go down to the game variables. And I misspelled variables. And then we're going to go ahead and do local game equals workspace dot game. Now, we're not doing lowercase game because that's an actual global variable within the Roblox Studio. And that's kind of, you know, a different idea. So game dot stats and then local settings equals array. And then we'll do map vote time. Now, this is basically saying how many seconds you have to vote. And then until the map is chosen. And then we have map vote delay. This is basically saying how many seconds delay until it does the next action. And then players required is basically going to say, okay, how many players required for us to like start a game to do intermission and then map voting. But we're not going to go into intermission. We have a whole video on the on that. We're just going to be covering map votes right now. So we have our primary events, right? So when it comes to making this map array or making our maps, it's going to be like this. So we have our array, right? Array is basically a table in Lua. Then we have our map array. Now the array is going to be map votes. So we'll map votes equals like array equals map votes. Then we have our map array. Then we have our ID. We have our map name. And whoops, we have our map name. Then we have our players, and then inside the players, we have our player equals user ID. Basically, what I'm saying here is, okay, there's going to be an ID tag, a map name tag, a players array inside the map array, and it's going to contain every player that's voted for that specific map. So let's go ahead and convert that into code, shall we? So let's go down here and we'll do event.on server event connect function, and then we're going to do player and variables. Now, basically what we're saying here is, okay, every time the server is sent an event, we're going to call this function, and the player variable is just our identifier for saying, okay, this is what player sent this event to us. And the variables is just some data sent over. So if variables dot reason, basically this is saying, okay, there's a reason attribute to the variables array, and it's going to be that simple. So vote on map, and then we're going to check, first check if a player already voted on a map. If so, change vote. So basically, we're going to go ahead and check through all the map votes. So we're going to do for AB in pairs, map votes. Cross my typing. For AB in pairs, map votes, and do. And you guys will notice that I do these by alphabetic order because it just makes more sense that way. So for DC in pairs, b.players, and this is where the players array comes into. And we're going to say if c.player is equal to player.user ID, as stated up here. We're going to go ahead and remove them from b.players. We're going to remove them from the player list, and we're going to end this. Because as you'll see, we're going to... So what we're going to do here is add the player next. So we could have done an if, we could have done a variable setting it to like if is found is equal to true, then we remove them and then we add them. But doing it this way is a lot easier than you'd expect. So now we're going to add the player to the map, map votes. So it's simple. All you have to do, copy this, and then fb.id equals variables dot item num, which is going to be the, and you guys will see what the ID is equal to. It's going to be equal to each pad it's assigned to. And then we're just going to insert into b.players and then an array player equals player.userid. And that's simple, but what about removing their vote once they stepped off the pad? Quite simple as well. We just go ahead and do variables.reason equals remove from vote. You can actually name these whatever you want. You're just going to have to change them into local script later. So we're just going to copy this. Or actually, no, we just copy this up here. Paste it here. And that's about it. That's pretty much it. You just have to copy this from up here and you're fine. So now we have that done. We could go ahead and go to the client script. And this is going to be a local script, like always. So insert a local script into starter GUI and name this client. And we're going to go ahead, go back here, and we're going to copy some of these. So let's copy the signals and assets part. That's what we're going to need. So as you can see, we now have this. This is kind of what we needed. And then we're just going to copy the game variables, not the settings, though. We don't need that. And up here, we're also going to add in a new one. This is going to be player. So first, we need to get the player. So .players.local player. Now, if you don't know what local player is, it just says, okay, it's a shortcut for script.parent.parent, which would be the parent would be starter GUI, and the parent starter GUI would be the player. It's a shortcut. It's a lot simpler, too, and it can be done anywhere. Then we're going to do player.character or player.character added wait. This just basically says, okay, we index the character if it exists, or we wait until it spawns, the character spawns in, and then we set the variable to it. Then we're going to get the GUI. This is simple. It's player wait for child player GUI. Now, if you don't know, basically, if we just go in here, there might be an error. I don't know. Nope, no error. So if we go into player and then player GUI right here, the GUI appears in here. So that's why we're doing player GUI. And then we're going to do UE equals GUI, not player, wait for child, and then we're just going to do UE. And then following this, we're just going to go ahead and go and insert a screen GUI, and we're going to name this UE. And the reason why we're doing this is because we're going to want a text bar up here telling us the current status of the game. So we're just going to do text label, and we'll just do title. And do 1, 0.045, and 0. And then we'll make this transparent. Text label. Let's do source sans bold. We'll make this white. And then we'll just give this a stroke, kind of like that. And not a stroke, you know what I mean. So next from this, we're going to go ahead and create a few static variables. This is going to be for a few events in which you guys will see. So local variables equals current vote equals nil, and then services is equal to an empty array. Now we'll go down in here and first initiate title updater. And then we'll just go ahead and do game get service run service dot render stepped connect function, and basically from here it's simple. Basically this is just saying, okay, call this function before every frame. That's what render stepped is. It's before every frame is rendered. And then we're just going to do UE wait for child, and we're going to access that title text we created previously. So let's go ahead and do that, and we're going to make it equal to stats.status.value. And if we do join play the game, you will see that it's set to that. But then if I set the status to hi YouTube, it basically changes it to that. So you see that works. So we'll keep that there for now, and then we'll move on to the server stuff, the basics. So let's go on to server, and let's go down here, and let's go ahead and create a while wait loop. This is basically what every murder game or the new Wild Revolver game on the games page. All games that loop use this. Hopefully they should. You could do a do loop, I guess, but it makes absolutely no sense if you do. So use a while wait loop. So if we do hashtag game.players, get players, and then if it's less than what we have for the players required, then which is set up here, players required, then basically we're just going to go ahead and say, all right, local players needed equals settings minus hashtag the amount of players are in the game currently. Then we're just going to go ahead and do stats.status.value equals player needed. Then we're going to do a space, and then we're going to do conditional. So players needed equals 1 and player or players. Basically, this is saying, okay, if players needed is equal to 1, then we're going to use the player string. Instead, it's going to be players. Without this, it would just be players, like 5 players, 1 player. So that makes absolutely no sense. If it's 1 players, it's grammatically incorrect. So that's why we do it like this. And then needed to play. So that's perfect and all. So now we actually need to get into the map vote kind of stuff. So we're going to do else, and this means, okay, there's enough players. So we're going to do assign maps. We're going to set map votes to nothing, just like to an empty array. And then we're going to do for AB in pairs, game.special, or, whoops, sorry, game.special, dot voting pads, get children, do, and then table.insert, and then map votes. And then we're going to do another table, ID equals to number, b.name, match. We're going to do %d plus. This is basically saying, okay, so in the string, let's search for any amount of numbers, just any numbers we can find. And then we're going to convert that into a number value. So that's what the ID is going to be equal to. Then we're going to go ahead and do map name equals, and let's make a function for this. Let's name it get map. And then we'll just do players equals nothing, just like we had up here with the players. So let's go ahead and create a function up here, function get map. And this should be a relatively easy function. So we'll do random map is equal to maps get children, and this is why we had this. Math.random one hashtag maps get children, and boom, there we go. That's our random map. Now you might say, well, aren't we done? And no, we're not, because we have to go ahead and go through the existing map votes if there are any. And then if b.mapName equals random map.name, then guess what? We're going to have to look for another map. We can't have two of the same map, right? So otherwise, we're going to return random map.name, and then we can easily do clone later on. So there we go. We assigned the map votes. What are we going to do next? We're going to fire all the clients and start sending in votes. So event fire all clients, and then there's going to be a reason is equal to start voting. Now you may be saying, well, what does fire all clients do? Well, if you haven't already guessed, it fires every client on an event function. So let's go ahead, head back here, and we'll do primary events, and we'll do event.onClient event connect function, and instead of the player variable, because there's no need for identifier since it's a server, we're going to do variables. And it's going to do the exact same thing with the reason here, is just separate. So if variables dot reason is equal to start voting, which is the attribute for reason that we used in here, and we're just going to do this, and this is why we have those services again. So it's var.services game get service run service. Whoops. Okay. Run service dot render stepped connect function. And then we're just going to do end, and then it created a double one. If it does create a triple one, just go ahead and delete that one. So basically, like I said earlier, it's going to do the exact same thing as this call function before every frame. So we're going to do ray equals ray.new. We'll go ahead and do the character dot primary part dot cframe dot p. You can do dot position if you want. I'm just used to doing this. And then we're going to set a direction of -1000, and then that's going to be it. So basically what this is doing is it creates a data table, which is basically saying this is our origin, this is our starting point, and we're going to go down -1000 studs. And then at -1000 studs, that's where we end. That's array. So technically array goes on forever, but since we have technical problems there, we kind of have to limit how far array can go. So we're just going to go ahead and do local object equals workspace find part on ray. And if you want to have an ignore list, it's part on ray with ignore list, but right now there's no need to ignore anything. So we're going to use the ray as the ray we're using to detect objects. We're going to use character to avoid, it's going to ignore our character completely. And then false and false. This basically just says, okay, are we going to see terrain as cubes, and are we going to avoid water? So this is kind of what false and false does. And it's something that it's kind of something that it just does as a thing. So always have these set as false or false unless you have a reason for it. So, and then there's also other variables, object position and normal, normalized vector or a unit vector, but we're not going to deal with that today because there's just no use for it right now. So if object, which means if it exists, and object.name match voting pad, then basically this is just saying, okay, if it's a voting pad, then we're going to do the check. If not, then just ignore it. So we're going to do if vars.currentVote equals nil, then we're just going to go ahead and say vars.currentVote is equal to voting pad num, and you'll see where we set this, where we go, we're going to go above here in this, and we're going to do voting pad num equals to number, and then actually we could go back up here and copy this, because there's actually not it because it's basically the same thing. Only thing we have to change though is it just has to be object.name, and this basically grabs the number like last time. So that's basically what that is. We have to give that extra parentheses there, but you should have this for the voting pad number. Then we're just going to go ahead and do event fire server reason, and it has to be an array. Don't forget array with your curly brackets. Vote on map, and then it's going to be item num equals voting pad num. And that's simple. Then we're just going to copy this because we're going to use this. Then we're going to do else if vars.current vote does not equal voting pad num, then that means they went onto a different pad. That's if they're right next to each other. That's for you guys to decide on. Otherwise, it's just going to be else if vars.current vote does not equal nil. This means that it's just they've gone off the pad. Then it's going to be vars.current vote equals nil, and then we're just going to copy this right here. And then we're just going to make this remove from vote. And then end that, and we've finished this basically, and we're just really quickly going to add another one, else if variables dot reason equals end voting. This is going to be when the vote ends. We're just going to go ahead and do for AB in pairs vars.services do b disconnect. Just how you can connect a function, you can disconnect it. Therefore, it no longer runs like before every frame. And then we're just going to set services back to its array, basic array form, empty array. So we're done with the client side. Nothing else to work on here. So let's go ahead and move on to the server side. The rest of stuff we have to do here, and which is a lot. So we're just going to do main loop. And we're going to do local start equals tick. This is going to be basically our countdown. Now, unlike last time, we're using a different countdown method, which is instead of a for loop, we use tick, which, to be honest, tick is a lot more accurate, and it's better than the for loop. So let's go ahead and get into it. So we'll do another while wait loop. This is going to yield until it finishes. So if tick minus start, which is basically the time between since we set this variable, since this variable is created, and we're going to do is greater than or equal to settings.map vote time. If it is, then we're going to end the loop, and then we'll move on to the last stuff. We're going to go ahead and do stats dot actually no, we have to do local seconds left because this tells us how many seconds we have left here. So we're going to do math.floor settings.map vote time minus tick minus start. So this is just going to give us the seconds left as 60, 59, 58 going down instead of going up, unlike tick minus start. So now we can do stats.status.value is equal to seconds left. We're going to do another conditional here, your guys' favorite. So it's going to be a space dot, and then it's going to be another conditional where it's going to be seconds left equals 1, and it's the same thing as up there, but instead it's going to be second or seconds. And then from here, it's just going to be, I don't know why I keep doing that, but from here, it's just going to be left to vote. And from there, we have a very simple for loop here, but this is going to be instead going through what we have. So we're going to go back up here. We're going to copy this because this is going to go through all the pads. And then we're going to do local players voting, and then we're going to do mname. Whoops. I need to fix that. There we go. So it's going to be for DC and pairs map votes do if c dot id equals, and then we're just going to go ahead and copy this again. Whoops, copy that. And then that means it's basically saying, okay, if this pad is assigned to this map, then we're just going to go ahead and say, okay, players voting equals c dot hashtag c dot players, because we need to get the amount of people in that list. And then mname equals c dot map name, I guess. Yeah. And then we're going to do break. And then down here, all we have to do Sorry about that jump cut, everyone. So, we're back. So, then down here, after the for loop, we're just going to go ahead and do sgui.title.text is equal to mname. Yeah, I named it mname. Then it's going to be ... and then, okay, we actually have an issue here. Oh, you know what? I just realized I leaned in to kind of look at it. I forgot that we're putting it in the wrong area. So we're going to do ... because it's going to be the nap name, and then it's going to be the players voting, and then it's going to be a space, and then we're just going to go ahead and do players voting equals 1. It's going to be another conditional, but it's going to be voter, and then or voters. And that should be very simple. That's just going to be saying like map 1 dash amount of players voting, and then voter or voters. And then after this, it's actually fairly simple. After this, we're just going to go ahead and get our winner. And once we get our winner, we're just going to go ahead and say, okay, we're going to sort it to get the map with the amount of most votes. So function, and AB is going to be our objects that we get back. So if return, so we're going to return A dot players is greater than B dot players. Hashtag B dot players. Sorry about that. And if it isn't, then what it's going to say is, okay, we're just going to move the first behind the second object. So it's just going to sort them based on votes. And then we're just going to go ahead and do for AB in pairs. And game.special voting pads get children do, and then here we're just gonna do if to number actually we can just copy this once again, and if it's equal to b if it's equal to map votes 1.id, then we're just gonna say b.sgui.title.text equals winner, and that should not be whiner, and then this should also be a single equal, and then we're just going to do stats.status value is equal to map votes 1.map name ... was chosen, and then it's going to be very simple from here. It's just going to be an else b.sgui.title.text equals lost vote. And then from here, we just go ahead and after this little one, we're just going to go ahead and do wait. And yeah, so then we're just going to go ahead and do wait settings dot settings dot map vote delay. And that's about it, everyone. So as you can see, we have 122 and 60. So you guys have about 180 lines for this, but it should be fairly simple. So whoops, not everything has one, or does everything have one? Yeah, it does. So yeah, so let's go ahead and insert. I forgot that we need to insert some maps. So just insert a few folders. We'll name this HQ. One of these will be SpooksHD. One of these will be Roblox. One of these will be Pad. And the second one will be, the last one will be YouTube. So we'll just keep those as map names, and we'll press play. And, oh, yeah, you know what? I just realized we need to make the, name this title. So copy those, and then we'll just delete the ones in the pads, and then select both and paste them in. So after that, as you can see, if we go off, it's going to be 0 voters. If it's HQ, then we can go in and it's going to be a voter. And let's quickly get over to Roblox and stand on this. And as you can see, that's going to say winner, and Roblox was chosen. And then as you can see, now it's completely different. SpooksHD is on that side. We can go back here. And as you can see, everything has changed again. So SpooksHD, let's see if this works a second time around. And as you can see, winner SpooksHD was chosen, and then it's going to be different YouTube HQ Roblox. So as you can see, it's quite simple, but it works relatively easily, and you guys are gonna love this. You guys can use this anywhere, and it just works really great. It just works really well with a lot of game types. So anyways, that's about it for the tutorial. I don't know why this took so long, but anyways, I want to say thank you guys for watching. Go ahead, join the Discord. It's on the screen right now if you want better contact with me, if you want to easily be able to get help, if you want to suggest tutorial ideas, then just go ahead, join the Discord on the link right now. There's the link. It's also in the description down below. Go ahead, subscribe, like, and comment. Remember what I said before, 10 likes or whatever. I completely forgot. You guys always smash it, though. You always smash the like button. So, and I also want to say thank you for all the support. I want to say I'm sorry for the lack of content the past few months. I'm going to be working on getting that out. Going to be buying some new equipment to kind of make the video production quality, and maybe face cam. Who knows? Anyways, I want to say thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.